Is this demonic activity that I'm hearing? How to find peace from paranormal activity. First, I would avoid telling yourself that these kinds of things don't exist. If deep down you believe that what you are experiencing is paranormal activity, no matter how much you try to convince yourself otherwise, you will deep down not believe it. No, this is not happening. This is not true. This is just my mind playing tricks on me. That will keep you in resistance and struggle. When you try to convince yourself of something that you don't believe, that pulls you into resistance. And it is that resistance that is driving you crazy. Don't go to war with your mind or get entangled in the drama of the story. A lot of people believe in spiritual warfare, and this can be true in a sense, but I think that there is much more productive mindsets to have when approaching these kinds of situations. Once you manage your relationship to these supernatural things, then you don't ever have to worry about the problem again. Next, don't try to control your reaction or your fear or the situation that you are experiencing. When you try to control something, you always enter into resistance anytime anything is outside of your control, which is almost all the time. But rather, the key is to accept and to surrender. Whenever these kinds of situations arise, whenever there is fear, the situation is not what is causing you trouble, but your reaction to it. So let's say right here, right now, you hear or feel some kind of supernatural presence in your room or wherever you are at. What exactly is it that you are afraid of? Has anybody ever been seriously hurt or killed by these things that you are experiencing? What exactly is your current belief about the situation, the story about what is happening that is causing fear and anxiety to arise? Is there, when you really look, is there really anything to be afraid of? Now, at the same time, it may be a supernatural presence or it may not. But you see, our mind tends to naturally focus on fear. Even more so, if you've had a lot of these kinds of experiences, you will have developed an identity, a strong attachment and relationship to these kinds of experiences. And what our identity does is that it causes us to selectively focus. We hyper-focus on all the information that affirms what we already believe to be true, and we ignore everything else. So even if there is a rational, non-supernatural explanation for what is happening, your mind will not be able to see it. It will immediately focus and latch on to the idea that, oh no, this is a ghost or a demon or some kind of paranormal activity. And it may be true, but it also may not be true. Rather than coming to a conclusion that these experiences, oh no, these are not real, or oh no, this is real. These are demons and ghosts and ghouls. Ghouls. See if you can just tell yourself, well, I don't know. I mean, it feels like it could be something. There is this strong belief that perhaps it is some kind of demon or ghost, but it could also just be the wind. It could also just be my mind playing tricks on me. It could also just be my fear. There may be some explanation that I haven't even thought of. When you allow yourself to be in a state of not knowing, to not come to any strong conclusions of what is happening, this is, to me, the most accurate and productive way of looking at the situation. Because when you are certain, when you have come to this conclusion, if you believe that there are ghosts or demons messing with you, that belief has a strong negative charge and there will always be fear associated with it. If you try to convince yourself that it's not real, it's easy to remain in a state of resistance to the situation. But if you find yourself in the middle, that is the neutral position, and say, well, I just don't know, that takes the emotional charge out of the situation, and therefore it loses power over you. Now, even if it is a ghost or some kind of demonic activity, what exactly can you do about it? You could try to move places, but if you have already been experiencing these kinds of things, you might just experience them more somewhere else. Now, sometimes it is the house that is haunted, but sometimes it's you. The idea I wish to point out is that even if there is some kind of paranormal activity going on, your ability to do anything about it is minimal. If you want to put salt around the windows and the doors, or do some sage, or get a priest to come bless your house, if that makes you feel better, then okay. But you have to ask yourself, is there anything at this moment that I can do to control or change what I believe is happening to me? Can you tell the ghosts to go away and are they going to listen to you? And the fact is, and this goes for every situation, you are either able to do something immediately about it, or you are forced to surrender and accept it as it is. However, you are always able to control your interpretation about what is happening. You can control your reaction, your beliefs. In the end, it is your own mind that is causing you so much trouble, not the situations themselves. Luckily, the mind is the one thing that you can change. So I would suggest the next time you experience something, just see if you can say, I don't know. Maybe it is something, maybe it's not. And even if you believe it is paranormal, you can surrender and accept the moment as it is by realizing there is just not that much you can do about it. It's easier to surrender and say, well, what am I supposed to do about it? Unless you are experiencing things in which people are getting hurt or are in danger, there is not really anything to be concerned about. When these kinds of strange things happen, just slow down a bit. Don't get up right away and check and investigate what is happening. Just see if you can sit with yourself for a few moments and remain aware. Just be aware of the space around you, of any noises, and more importantly, be aware of any emotions that arise, any fear, any anxiety, any thoughts. By becoming more aware of your feelings in that moment, you prevent your fear and anxiety from running rampant. You put the fear in check. You stop its momentum, and you don't allow it to continue to run your life. Whenever you feel anxiety or fear arise, remember to take 10 deep breaths, slow and steady. And what this does is that it keeps you from entering into a state of fight or flight, which causes you to be very reactive. Remember, your fear and anxiety will cause you to hyper-focus on things and say, oh, was that a paranormal experience? Was that a ghost or a demon, perhaps? Your mind is actively seeking these things because your body is in a state of fight or flight. Out in the wild, this is a very important thing, because if there are grizzly bears all around you, it is very important to actively seek out where those grizzly bears are. You hear a rustle in the bush, oh, is that a grizzly bear? You cannot afford in that situation to not be afraid. But these ghosts and demons and supernatural things are fueled more by the belief and the energy that we give them. The key is to become more relaxed, more indifferent, more neutral. And awareness is always in a state of neutrality. We want to calm the body the best we can. And over time, these experiences will bother you less and less. The more we practice taking our reactions away from these experiences, the less power they have over us. We can simply realize that we have gotten in the habit of feeding these kinds of experiences our energy. Because energy is power, these situations use our own energy to gain power over us. And that is why we often feel helpless or like a slave. So bit by bit, all we have to do is begin taking our power back through the art of non-reaction. By taking ourselves out of fight or flight, by becoming more relaxed through slow, deep breathing, by reframing our mindset from certainty to a neutral kind of not knowing. When we are certain that there is a ghost or a demonic presence, fear naturally arises. When we allow ourselves to be uncertain, well, it could be something, it could be nothing. Can you see how this shift in mindset diffuses any kind of strong negative charge? We allow ourselves to let go of any strong beliefs or conclusions about the situation. Because in truth, we don't know what exactly is real or what we are imagining in our mind. Because reality is always being filtered through our minds. So whatever information is in here will shape the way we see the world.